Captain Lee Dongwu stood at the observation deck of the space station orbiting Earth, watching the blue marble that was his homeworld slowly turn beneath him. The message from the Galactic Council had arrived 3 days ago, and he was still thinking about what it meant. They wanted humans to join a special research mission to study an ancient alien artifact on a distant planet called Kepler 442c. It sounded like a great honor, but something felt wrong about it. The Galactic Council was made up of 12 different alien species, all much older and more advanced than humanity. They had technology that could bend space and time, weapons that could destroy entire star systems, and knowledge that went back millions of years. Humans had only been part of galactic society for 50 years, ever since they had figured out how to travel faster than light. In that short time, they had made many friends but also many enemies. The Veltari Empire was the strongest member of the council. They looked like tall, thin creatures with gray skin and large black eyes. Their leader was High Counselor Nexathara, a being who had lived for over 300 years and had seen many species rise and fall. She did not like humans very much. She thought they were too curious, too quick to learn, and too dangerous to be left alone. Dongwu had met Nexathara once before during a diplomatic meeting on the council's main station. She had looked at him with those cold black eyes and said that humans reminded her of a species called the Karathi, who had also been very good at copying and improving alien technology. The Karathi were now extinct. The way she said it made Dongwu feel like she was giving him a warning. Dr. Park So-min walked up behind him, carrying a tablet with mission details. She was one of Earth's best scientists, a woman who understood physics in ways that amazed even the aliens. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her eyes were bright with excitement. She loved learning new things, especially when they involved alien technology. "The council says this artifact is over 10 million years old," she said, showing him pictures on her tablet. "It's buried deep under the surface of the planet. They think it might be a piece of technology from the ancients, the first species to achieve faster-than-light travel." Dongwu looked at the images. The artifact was huge, the size of a small city. It had a strange, flowing design that seemed to twist and turn in impossible ways. The scans showed it was made of materials that Earth scientists had never seen before. "Why do they need us for this?" Dongwu asked. "They have teams of archaeologists from dozens of species. What can humans offer that they cannot do themselves?" So-min smiled. "They say human minds work differently from alien minds. We see patterns that they miss. We ask questions they would never think to ask. In the past 50 years, humans have made breakthroughs in understanding alien technology that surprised everyone." That was true. Human scientists had a gift for taking alien devices apart, figuring out how they worked, and then making them work better. It was something that worried many older species. They had spent thousands of years perfecting their technology, only to have humans improve it in a few months. Commander Kim Tae-ho joined them at the observation deck. He was Dongwu's oldest friend and his second in command. They had served together in the Korean Navy before joining the Earth Defense Force. Tae-ho was a careful man who always looked for hidden dangers. His face showed he was not happy about this mission. "I have been reading the mission briefings," Tae-ho said. "Something does not feel right. Why is this planet so far from any trade routes? Why has no one explored it before? And why are they only sending one human ship?" Dongwu had been wondering the same things. Kepler 442c was at the edge of known space, far from any inhabited worlds. It would take their ship, the Soul's Pride, almost 2 weeks to get there using their fastest warp drive. Once they arrived, they would be completely alone, with no way to call for help if something went wrong. "The council says they want to keep the mission small and secret," So-min explained. "Too many ships might damage the artifact or attract unwanted attention from treasure hunters." Tae-ho made a noise that showed he did not believe this. "In my experience, when someone wants to take you somewhere far away, where no one can see what happens, they are not planning something good." Dr. Yoon-ji-hai walked over to join their conversation. She was the team's expert on alien archaeology, a woman who had spent years studying the remains of dead civilizations. Her job was to understand how ancient aliens had lived and what their technology could do. She was excited about the mission but also worried. "I have been looking at the data the Council sent us," she said. "The artifact does not match any known ancient technology. The design is wrong, the materials are wrong, even the age dating seems strange. It is almost like someone took pieces from different civilizations and put them together." Engineer Choi, Hyunwoo, appeared beside them, eating a sandwich as he walked. He was young but very skilled at understanding how alien machines worked. His job would be to scan the artifact and figure out what it was supposed to do. He had a gift for seeing through complicated alien designs and finding the simple ideas underneath. "Maybe that is what makes it special," he said between bites. "Maybe the ancients built it by combining technologies from many different species. That would be very advanced, even for them." Lieutenant Commander Nam Soo-jin was the last to join their group. She was in charge of keeping the team safe, and she had a soldier's instincts for danger. Her hand always stayed close to her weapon, and her eyes were always watching for threats. She had read every report about the mission and found many things that worried her. "The Council is providing us with detailed maps of the planet's surface and the artifact location," she said. "But they refuse to tell us what kind of defenses the site might have or what dangers we might face. They say we should trust them to keep us safe." Dongwoo looked at his team. They were all smart people who had worked together for years. They trusted each other completely, and they all felt the same thing about this mission. It was too good to be true, too convenient, too perfectly arranged, but it was also the chance of a lifetime to study ancient technology and maybe learn secrets that could help humanity advance even further. "We will accept the mission," he decided, "but we will be very careful. We will document everything. Trust no one except ourselves and be ready to leave quickly if anything goes wrong." The team spent the next week preparing for the journey. They loaded the Soul's Pride with the best scanning equipment Earth could provide, along with tools for archaeology, samples of human technology for comparison, and enough supplies to last for months if they became stranded. The ship itself was one of humanity's newest designs, equipped with advanced warp drives, powerful weapons, and the most sophisticated computer systems ever built. On the day they left, High Counselor Nexthara sent them a personal message wishing them success. Her voice was smooth and polite, but Dongwoo could hear something else underneath it. She sounded like someone who knew a secret, someone who was very pleased with herself. As the Soul's Pride jumped into warp space and began the long journey to Kepler 442c, none of the humans knew that Veltari ships were already following them. They did not know that the artifact waiting for them was not ancient at all, but a carefully prepared trap. They did not know that their ship's warp drive had been secretly marked with tracking devices, or that Veltari engineers had studied its design and knew exactly how to disable it. High Counselor Nexthara watched the human ship disappear into the darkness of space and smiled. Soon, humanity would learn that they were not as clever as they thought they were. Soon, they would need the Council's help to survive, and when that happened, the Council would make sure that humans never became a threat to the established order of the galaxy again. The Soul's Pride dropped out of warp space near Kepler 442c after 13 days of travel. Captain Lee Dongwoo stood on the bridge, looking at the planet that appeared on their main screen. It was a brown and gray world with no atmosphere, covered in ancient impact craters and dried riverbeds. Long ago it might have been home to life, but now it was as dead as a stone. Dr. Park So-min was already running scans from her station. Her instruments could see deep into the planet's surface, looking for the artifact that the Galactic Council had sent them to study. The readings were very strange. There was definitely something big buried under the northern continent, something that did not match the planet's natural rock and metal. "I am getting massive energy signatures from the dig site," she reported. "Whatever is down there, it is still active after all these millions of years. The power levels are unlike anything I have ever seen before." Commander Kim Tae-ho was studying the space around the planet with his tactical sensors. He was looking for other ships, hidden bases, or any sign that they were being watched. The Council had said this would be a secret mission, but Tae-ho did not trust anyone who was not human. "The system appears empty," he said. "No ships, no stations, no artificial satellites. But I am detecting some unusual readings at the edge of sensor range." Could be natural phenomena, or could be cloaked vessels, maintaining their distance. Dongwu nodded. Keep watching. If anyone followed us here, I want to know about it immediately. The Soul's Pride moved into orbit around the planet, and the team began preparing for the surface mission. They would take a smaller shuttle down to the dig site, leaving the main ship in orbit with a skeleton crew. It was standard procedure, but it also meant splitting their forces, which made Taeho nervous. Dr. Yoon Ji-hai was in the shuttle bay, loading archaeological equipment into their landing craft. She had brought tools for careful excavation, devices for dating ancient materials, and cameras to document everything they found. As an expert on dead civilizations, she was excited to study something that might be 10 million years old. Engineer Choi Hyun-woo was checking his scanning equipment one more time. He had devices that could see through solid rock, analyze the composition of unknown materials, and detect even the smallest energy emissions. His job was to understand how the artifact worked, and he was determined to do it right. Commander Nam Soo-jin was preparing weapons and survival gear. Even though this was supposed to be a research mission, she believed in being ready for trouble. She had plasma rifles, emergency medical supplies, and communication devices that could reach the Soul's Pride from anywhere on the planet's surface. The shuttle launched from the Soul's Pride and flew down through the thin atmosphere toward the northern continent. As they got closer to the surface, their scanners got a better look at what was waiting for them. The artifact was enormous, stretching for kilometers in every direction. It was buried under hundreds of meters of rock and sand, but they could see its outline clearly. This is incredible, So-min said as she watched the readings. The structure is perfectly preserved. There is no decay, no damage from time or weather. It is like it was built yesterday and then buried. They landed near the coordinates the Council had provided. The surface of the planet was covered in loose sand and small rocks. There was no wind, no sound, except the hum of their equipment. The sun was a distant point of light in the sky, giving just enough warmth to keep their suits from freezing. Yoon Ji-hai began setting up the excavation site. She used sonic charges to blast away the top layers of sand and rock, revealing the first glimpses of the artifact underneath. What they saw made everyone stop and stare. The artifact was made of a metal that seemed to change color as they looked at it. Sometimes it was silver, sometimes gold, sometimes a deep blue that reminded them of Earth's oceans. The surface was covered with patterns that looked like writing, but the symbols were unlike anything in the galactic databases. This does not look like ancient technology, Yoon Ji-hai said quietly. The ancients used crystal-based materials and organic designs. This is all metal and geometric patterns. It looks more like something the Veltari would build. Hyun-woo ran his scanners over the exposed section. The readings were confusing. The metal showed signs of being very old, but the energy patterns inside were fresh and active. It was like finding a million-year-old clock that was still keeping perfect time. There are microscopic manufacturing marks in the metal, he reported. Tool marks from machines. But the style is wrong for ancient technology. These look like modern fabrication techniques. Soo-jin was walking the perimeter of their camp, watching for any signs of danger. Her motion sensors were picking up small movements in the distance, probably just rocks shifting in the planet's weak gravity. But her instincts told her that something was wrong. "Captain," she called over the radio, "I am getting intermittent contacts on the motion sensors. Could be natural, but the pattern suggests we might have company." Dongwu looked up from where he was examining the artifact. "What kind of company?" "Unknown. The contacts are too faint and too far away to identify, but they seem to be maintaining their distance like they are watching us." Back on the Soul's Pride, Communications Officer Oh Dae-jung was monitoring radio signals from across the system. He was not supposed to be listening to encrypted alien transmissions, but he was very good at finding hidden messages. What he discovered made his blood run cold. He immediately called Captain Dongwu on a secure channel. "Captain, you need to hear this. I have been picking up coded transmissions from the edge of the system. They are using Veltari encryption, and I managed to break some of it." "What are they saying?" Dongwu asked. They are reporting on our activities. Someone is watching the dig site and sending regular updates to ships hiding beyond our sensor range. The messages mention something called Operation Dependence. Dongwu felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold planet. Operation Dependence sounded like a military designation, not the name of a scientific research mission. He looked at his team, who were still working to expose more of the artifact. Keep monitoring those transmissions, he told Oh Daejung, and start a full diagnostic of our ship's systems. Check everything, especially the warp drive. Down on the planet, the excavation was revealing more and more of the mysterious artifact. It appeared to be some kind of complex machine, with chambers and corridors that extended deep underground. The energy readings were getting stronger as they exposed more of the structure. So Min was running detailed scans of the artifact's power source. What she found defied everything she knew about physics. The device was generating massive amounts of energy from what appeared to be empty space. It was technology far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. "This is impossible," she said. "The power generation system violates half the laws of thermodynamics, but it is working, and it has been working for millions of years without maintenance." Dr. Kang Yejin, the team's theoretical physicist, was studying the quantum signatures of the artifact's energy field. She had stayed on the Soul's Pride to analyze the data from a distance, and what she was seeing made no sense. "The quantum resonance patterns are all wrong for ancient technology," she reported over the radio. "This looks more like current Veltari engineering, but much more advanced than anything they have shown publicly." Yoon Ji-hee was photographing the symbols carved into the artifact's surface. She had studied the writing systems of dozens of alien species, but these marks were different. They were too regular, too perfect, like they had been made by a machine instead of carved by hand. "I think these symbols are not really writing," she said. "They look more like technical specifications or assembly instructions, like someone built this thing from a manual." As the day wore on, the team continued to uncover more of the artifact, but with each new discovery, they found more evidence that something was not right. The technology was too advanced, too well preserved, and too different from anything the ancients had ever built. Hyunwoo made the discovery that changed everything. Deep inside the artifact, his scanners found a small chamber containing what looked like a control room. Inside that room were computer systems that were still active, still running programs that had been started recently. "Captain, you need to see this," he called. "I am reading active computer systems inside the artifact. The programs have timestamps from less than 6 months ago." Dongwu felt the pieces of the puzzle starting to come together. An ancient artifact with modern computer systems. Veltari ships watching them from hiding. A mission that took them far from any help. It was a trap, carefully designed to look like an opportunity. "Pack everything up," he ordered. "We are going back to the ship immediately." But as they prepared to leave, Sujin's sensors detected movement much closer than before. Dark shapes were moving across the landscape, coming toward their camp. The Watchers had decided to make their presence known. "Contact multiple bogies approaching from the south," Sujin reported. "They are moving fast and staying low. Recommend immediate extraction." As the shuttle lifted off from the planet's surface, carrying the human team and their discoveries back to the Soul's Pride, none of them knew that their ship had already been compromised. Veltari agents had been aboard for hours. The shuttle docked with the Soul's Pride just as the sun was setting over Kepler 442c. Captain Lee Dongwu and his team rushed to the bridge, carrying data recordings and sample materials from the B artifact. They had discovered something important, something that proved the Galactic Council was not telling them the truth about this mission. Dr. Park So-min immediately began uploading her scans to the ship's main computer. The data showed energy patterns that were impossible to ignore. The artifact was not 10 million years old. It was modern technology, built within the last few years and designed to look ancient. "Look at these quantum signatures," she said, pointing to readings on her screen. "The energy decay patterns show this device has been active for maybe 5 years at most. Someone built this recently and then buried it under all that sand and rock. Dr. Yoon Ji-hai was examining the photographs she had taken of the symbols on the artifact's surface. She had run them through every translation program the ship had, comparing them to the writing systems of known alien species. What she found confirmed their worst fears. "These are not ancient symbols," she announced. "They are modern Veltari technical specifications. Someone took a Veltari instruction manual and carved it into the metal to make it look like alien writing." Commander Kim Tae-ho was studying the tactical data from their surface mission. The movement signatures that Lieutenant Commander Nam Soo-jin had detected were consistent with Veltari reconnaissance drones. They had been watched from the moment they landed. "We walked into a carefully prepared trap," he said. "The Council knew exactly what we would find down there because they put it there themselves." Communications Officer Oh Dae-jung had been monitoring alien transmissions while the team was on the surface. He had intercepted more coded messages, and the translation programs were finally making sense of them. What they revealed made his hands shake as he typed his report. "Captain, I have decoded more of the Veltari transmissions," he said. "They have been reporting our every move to ships hiding beyond sensor range. The messages refer to something called Phase 2 of Operation Dependence. Phase 2 is scheduled to begin once we discover our ship has been sabotaged." Dongwoo felt cold fear in his stomach. Sabotaged? What kind of sabotage? Chief Petty Officer Ryu Minho was already running diagnostics on all ship systems. He was the Soul's Pride's maintenance expert, a man who knew every pipe, wire, and circuit on the ship. He had been working in the engine room when the team returned, and what he found there made him sick with anger. "Captain, you need to get down here right now," Minho's voice came over the intercom. "Someone has been in our warp drive. They took apart the quantum field generators and stole the primary control crystals." The team rushed to the engine room. What they saw there was worse than sabotage. It was precise dismantling by someone who understood human technology perfectly. The warp drive had been carefully taken apart, with key components removed and others damaged beyond repair. "They knew exactly what they were doing," Minho explained. "This was not random destruction. They took specific parts that cannot be replicated without a full industrial facility. Without these components, we cannot generate a warp field." Dr. Kang Ye-jin was studying the quantum residue left behind by whoever had done this. Her instruments could detect the unique energy signatures that different alien species left when they handled technology. What she found was no surprise. "Veltari energy signatures are all over the damaged components," she reported. "They were here for hours, working very carefully to disable our ship without making it obvious." Engineer Choi Hyun-woo was examining the artifact data on a portable computer. He had been studying the energy readings from the buried device, and suddenly everything made sense. The artifact was not just a fake archaeological site. It was a working piece of technology with a specific purpose. "I know what that thing is," he announced. "It is not just any Veltari device, it is a warp core. A very advanced warp core that generates faster than light fields using principles I have never seen before." So-min looked at his analysis. "That is impossible. Veltari warp technology is primitive compared to human systems. They use slow, inefficient methods that we abandoned years ago." "That is what they want us to think," Hyun-woo replied. "But this core uses quantum field manipulation techniques that are centuries ahead of anything in our databases. They have been hiding their real technology from the entire galaxy." The pieces of the trap were becoming clear. The Council had lured them to a remote planet with a fake archaeological mission. While they studied the planted artifact, Veltari agents had sabotaged their ship. Now they were stranded, with no way to call for help or return home. Q. Commander Nam Soo-jin was monitoring the space around their ship. Her sensors were detecting new contacts approaching from the outer system. Ships were coming, and they were not trying to hide anymore. "Multiple vessels approaching from the edge of the system," she reported. "Configuration matches Veltari battlecruisers. Estimated arrival time is 6 hours. Oh Dae-jung intercepted a new transmission, this one broadcast, on open frequencies for everyone to hear. It was a message from High Counselor Nexithara, announcing the Galactic Council's generous rescue mission to save the stranded human expedition. "This is High Counselor Nexithara of the Veltari Empire," the message began. "We have received a Distress signal from the human research vessel Soul's Pride. The ship has suffered catastrophic engine failure and is stranded in the Kepler 442 system. Council rescue vessels are en route to provide assistance. There had been no distress signal. The humans had not asked for help. But now the entire galaxy would hear that humanity had failed, that they needed alien technology to survive, and that they owed the Council a debt of gratitude for saving them. "This is brilliant," Tejo said with bitter admiration. "They strand us, then rescue us publicly. Humanity looks weak and dependent. The Council looks generous and powerful, and we owe them favors that they can collect for years." Dongwu gathered his team in the ship's main briefing room. They had 6 hours before the Veltari fleet arrived. 6 hours to figure out how to escape a trap that had been months in the making. "They made one mistake," he said. "They gave us access to technology that is more advanced than anything they have shown the galaxy. That warp core down on the planet could be our way home." So Min was studying the quantum field equations that governed warp drive technology. The principles are similar to our own systems, but the implementation is completely different. If we could understand how it works, we might be able to build our own version. Hyunwoo was already working on the problem. "I recorded detailed scans of the core's internal structure. The quantum field generators use a resonance cascade that amplifies space-time distortion by a factor of at least 10. It is like comparing a firecracker to a nuclear bomb." Dr. Shin Hae-won, the ship's material scientist, was examining samples they had taken from the artifact. The metal was unlike anything in human databases. It was stronger than any known alloy, yet it could be shaped and molded like clay when exposed to the right energy frequencies. "This material appears to be programmable at the molecular level," she reported. "You can make it into any shape or configuration by adjusting the quantum field that surrounds it. It is the perfect substance for building advanced warp drive components." Technician. Lee Yuri was the youngest member of the team, but she had an intuitive understanding of how different technologies could work together. She had been studying the interface between human and Veltari systems, looking for ways to make them compatible. "Our computer systems are much faster than theirs," she pointed out. "Human quantum processors can solve field equations in minutes. That would take Veltari computers hours to calculate. If we could combine their warp core design with our control systems, we might create something better than either technology alone." The team worked through the night, using the ship's fabrication systems to create new components based on the Veltari design. They had samples of the programmable metal, detailed scans of the warp core, and human ingenuity that had always been their greatest strength. Min Ho was rebuilding the warp drive using a hybrid of human and alien technology. So Min was calculating quantum field equations that had never been solved before. Hyunwoo was designing control systems that could handle power levels beyond anything humanity had ever achieved. As the Veltari fleet grew closer, the humans worked with desperate intensity. They were not just trying to escape a trap. They were trying to prove that humanity could not be caged, could not be controlled, and could not be made dependent on alien charity. Master Sergeant Lim Jae-won coordinated security for the operation. He had served in special forces before joining the space program, and he understood that this was a military operation disguised as a rescue mission. The Veltari were not coming to help them. They were coming to collect their prize. "We have maybe 4 hours before they arrive," he reported. "After that, they will demand to board our ship to assess the damage. Once they are aboard, we lose any chance of completing the repairs in secret." Dr. Kang Ye-jin made a breakthrough in understanding the quantum mechanics of the Veltari warp system. The field equations were based on principles that human science. The Veltari fleet was 3 hours away when Captain Lee Dongwoo made the most important decision of his career. Instead of waiting for rescue that would turn humanity into a dependent species, they would attempt something that had never been done before. They would reverse engineer alien technology, improve it with human innovation, and escape before their captors realized what had happened. The Soul's Pride had become a workshop of desperate innovation. Every corridor was filled with cables, computer terminals, and pieces of equipment that had been torn from their normal locations. The ship's fabrication systems were running at maximum capacity, creating new components based on designs that existed only in the minds of human engineers. Chief Petty Officer Ryu Min-ho was in the main engine room, installing the new warp drive system they had built. It was unlike anything that had ever been constructed before. The core was based on Veltari quantum field manipulation technology, but the control systems were purely human. Advanced processors that could think faster than any alien computer were connected to power generators that bent the laws of physics. "The field generators are online," he reported. "Power coupling is stable, but I have never worked with energy levels this high before. If something goes wrong, it will not just destroy the drive, it will vaporize the entire ship." Dr. Park So-min was running final calculations on the quantum field equations that would make their escape possible. She had been working for 18 hours straight, solving mathematical problems that Veltari scientists had spent centuries perfecting. Human intuition and faster computers had compressed years of research into a single night. "The field resonance calculations are complete," she announced. "We can generate a warp bubble that is 5 times more efficient than our original drive system. But the power requirements are enormous. We will need to channel the ship's entire energy output through systems that were never designed for this kind of load." Engineer Choi Hyun-woo was integrating human artificial intelligence with Veltari hardware. The alien warp core was designed to be controlled by slow, methodical computer systems that made thousands of small adjustments over time. Human AI could make millions of calculations per second, potentially controlling the warp field with precision that aliens had never imagined. "The AI integration is working better than expected," he reported. "Human computers do not just process information faster than Veltari systems. They process it differently. We can predict and compensate for quantum field fluctuations before they happen. It is like having reflexes that work at the speed of light." Dr. Shin Haiwan had been working with samples of the programmable metal from the alien artifact. She had discovered that the material responded to human bioelectric fields in ways that Veltari scientists had never documented. Human touch could reshape the metal directly, without the need for complex machinery. "This material is remarkable," she said, as she shaped a component with her bare hands. "It responds to conscious intention as much as electrical input. Human minds seem to interface with it naturally. We can create components that are perfectly optimized for our specific needs." Technician Lee Yuri was the key to making everything work together. She had spent her career studying how different technologies could be combined, and now she was creating interfaces between systems that had never been designed to work together. Human computers, Veltari power cores, and programmable alien metals were being woven into a single functioning machine. "The control interface is responding perfectly," she reported. "Human neural patterns seem to synchronize with the quantum fields naturally. It is almost like this technology was designed to work with human minds, even though that should be impossible." Dr. Kang Ye-jin had made a breakthrough that changed everything. Her analysis of the Veltari warp technology revealed that the aliens had been using only a fraction of their own system's potential. They had built machines capable of incredible performance but had never learned how to use them properly. "The Veltari have been using their warp cores like steam engines," she explained. "They generate power, but they waste most of it through inefficient field management. Human control systems can capture and redirect that wasted energy. We are not just copying their technology, we are perfecting it." Lataka Commander Nam Soo-jin was monitoring the approaching Veltari fleet while coordinating the ship's defenses. The aliens had sent 4 battlecruisers, enough firepower to destroy a small planet. They were not taking any chances that their human prisoners might escape. "The lead ships will be in weapons range in 2 hours, she reported. "They are broadcasting surrender demands on all frequencies. They want us to power down our engines and prepare to be boarded for inspection." Communications Officer Oh Dae-jung was intercepting more alien transmissions. The Veltari commanders were discussing their plans for the human crew once the rescue was complete. The conversations made it clear that this had never been about helping humanity. "They are planning to take our entire crew to the Council homeworlds for debriefing," he reported. "The debriefing is expected to last several years. They want to learn everything we know about human technology and psychology." Master Sergeant Lim Jae-won was preparing the ship for what might be a fighting retreat. The Soul's Pride was not a warship, but it had defensive systems that could buy them time if the new warp drive failed to work. He was also preparing explosive charges that would destroy sensitive technology rather than let it fall into alien hands. If this escape attempt fails, we cannot let them capture our computers or personnel, he said. Human technology and human minds are too valuable to become Veltari research subjects. The new warp drive was unlike anything that had ever existed. It combined Veltari quantum field manipulation with human computational power and human intuitive understanding of complex systems. The result was a machine that could bend space and time in ways that neither species had achieved alone, but it was also completely untested. They had built it based on theoretical calculations and desperate hope. No one knew if it would work, or if it would tear the ship apart when they tried to activate it. Minho was making final adjustments to the power coupling systems. The energy flow patterns are stable, but we are operating at the absolute limits of what our systems can handle. If we push the drive too hard, it will overload and destroy itself. Somin was running simulations of their planned escape route. I have calculated a warp trajectory that will take us directly to Earth in approximately 6 hours. But we will need to maintain perfect field stability for the entire journey. Any fluctuation could drop us back into normal space millions of miles from our destination. Yuri was testing the human-alien interface one final time. The control systems are responding to human neural patterns better than anything we have ever built. It is like the technology wants to work with us. But I am detecting some unusual quantum resonances that I do not understand. Dr. Yunji-hai had been studying the archaeological data from the planet's surface. She had found evidence that the buried warp core was not just a trap for humans. It was also a test of human capabilities. The symbols we found on the artifact were not just technical specifications, she announced. Some of them were puzzles, problems that could only be solved by minds that think differently from Veltari consciousness. I think they were testing whether humans could understand and improve their technology. Hyunwoo had made modifications to the warp core that went far beyond simple reverse engineering. He had redesigned the quantum field generators to work with human technology, creating hybrid systems that performed better than either human or alien components alone. The modified field generators are producing resonance patterns that should not be possible, he reported. We are not just bending space-time, we are folding it in ways that create multiple dimensional shortcuts simultaneously. If this works, we will travel faster than any ship in galactic history. As the Veltari fleet drew closer, the human crew made their final preparations. They had worked for 24 hours without rest, driven by the knowledge that failure meant not just their own capture, but the subjugation of their entire species. Humanity's future depended on technologies that had never been tested and theories that had never been proven. Dongwoo stood in the engine room, looking at the machine his crew had built. It was beautiful in its complexity, a fusion of human ambition and alien capability that represented everything humanity had learned about pushing beyond limitations. This drive system is capable of speeds that will revolutionize galactic travel, Somin said. If we can get home, we can build more of them. Humanity will go from being isolated newcomers to having the fastest ships in the galaxy. Taeho was studying tactical displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. The Veltari have no idea what we have accomplished. They expect to find helpless humans waiting for rescue. Instead, they are about to discover that we are more dangerous than they ever imagined. The moment of truth was approaching. In 1 hour, the Veltari fleet would arrive and demand to board their ship. The humans would either escape with technology that would change the balance of power in the galaxy, or they would be captured and subjected to years of interrogation and study. But as they prepared to test their revolutionary warp drive, none of them knew that they were about to achieve something. Captain Lee Dongwoo stood on the bridge of the Soul's Pride, watching the Veltari fleet approach on the main screen. 4 massive battle cruisers were closing in on their position, their weapons powered and ready to fire if the humans tried anything unexpected. High Counselor Nexithera had sent her best ships to collect the stranded human crew and their valuable technology. Veltari fleet is demanding immediate surrender, Communications Officer Oh Dae-jung reported. They want us to power down all systems and prepare for boarding. They say resistance will be considered an act of war against the Galactic Council. The alien commander did not know that the humans had spent the last 36 hours achieving the impossible. In the engine room below, Chief Petty Officer Ryu Minho was making final preparations to activate a warp drive that combined the best of human and Veltari technology. It was a machine that could travel faster than anything in galactic history, built by a species that refused to accept limitations. New warp drive is online and ready for activation, Minho reported over the intercom. All power couplings are stable. Quantum field generators are responding to human control systems perfectly. We are ready to make history. Dr. Park So-min was at her station, monitoring the exotic energy patterns that flowed through their hybrid propulsion system. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen before. Human computers were controlling Veltari quantum fields, with precision that the original designers had never imagined possible. Field resonance is perfect, she announced. The quantum calculations are running smoothly. Human processors are solving field equations in real time, compensating for fluctuations before they can destabilize the warp bubble. This system is not just more efficient than standard technology. It is an entirely new form of faster-than-light travel. Engineer Choi Hyun-woo was monitoring the artificial intelligence systems that controlled the new warp drive. The AI had been learning and adapting as they worked, becoming more sophisticated with each test. It was beginning to understand the hybrid technology in ways that surprised even its human creators. The AI is reporting optimal performance parameters, he said. It has analyzed thousands of possible warp trajectories and selected the most efficient path to Earth. Estimated travel time is 4 hours and 37 minutes. That is faster than any ship in recorded galactic history. Commander Kim Tae-ho was studying the tactical situation as the Veltari ships moved into attack formation. The aliens were being very careful to surround the Soul's Pride, blocking any possible escape route. They had planned this operation perfectly, or so they thought. Veltari ships are moving to surround us, he reported. They are taking positions that would prevent any attempt at conventional escape, but they have no idea what we are capable of now. Lieutenant Commander Nam Soo-jin was coordinating the ship's defenses while preparing for immediate departure. The Soul's Pride was not a military vessel, but it had enough firepower to fight its way clear of the trap if the new warp drive failed to work. All defensive systems are online, she announced. If the warp drive fails, we can fight our way out of the immediate area, but we cannot outrun 4 battlecruisers in normal space. The lead Veltari ship opened a communication channel, and the image of High Counselor Nexathara appeared on the main screen. She looked exactly as Dongwoo remembered her. Tall, thin, with cold black eyes that showed no emotion. She was smiling, but it was the smile of someone who had won a difficult game. Captain Lee Dongwoo, she said in her smooth voice. We received your distress signal and have come to provide assistance. Please power down your engines and prepare to be taken aboard our vessels. We will transport you and your crew to safety, while our technicians repair your damaged ship. Dongwoo looked at his crew. They had worked miracles to reach this moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could accomplish when they refused to give up. High Counselor Nexathara, he replied calmly. We appreciate your concern, but we will not require assistance. Our engines are functioning perfectly. The Veltari commander's smile faded. This was not the response she had expected from stranded and helpless humans. Captain, our sensors clearly show that your warp drive has been disabled, she said. You cannot possibly have repaired it without specialized components that only Council facilities can provide. Your sensors are correct about our original warp drive, Dongwoo agreed. It was indeed disabled, but we built a replacement. On the bridge of the lead Veltari ship, the tactical officer was studying energy readings from the human vessel. What he saw made him check his instruments twice before reporting to his commander. High Counselor, the human ship is generating massive energy signatures, he said. Power levels are off the scale. They appear to have some kind of advanced propulsion. System online. Nexathara looked at the readings herself. They were impossible. No human technology could generate that much power. Even Veltari ships could not match the energy output she was seeing. Impossible, she said. Humans do not have the knowledge. or materials to build advanced warp systems. They must be using their fusion reactors to create false readings. Back on the Soul's Pride, Dr. Kang Ye-jin was monitoring the quantum field equations that governed their new propulsion system. The mathematics were beautiful in their complexity, representing a perfect fusion of human intuition and alien capability. Warp field calculations are stable and optimal, she reported. We are ready to engage the drive system on your command, Captain. Technician Lee Yuri was at the control interface, her hands resting on systems that responded to human neural patterns in ways that still amazed her. The hybrid technology felt natural to operate, as if it had been designed specifically for human minds. All control systems are responding perfectly, she announced. The interface between human computers and Veltari hardware is functioning, beyond our best predictions. We have created something that neither species could have built alone. The Veltari fleet was now in perfect attack formation, with the Soul's Pride surrounded and unable to escape through conventional means. Nexathara was preparing to order boarding parties when her tactical officer made a discovery that changed everything. Hi, Counselor. I am detecting quantum resonance patterns from the human ship that match our most advanced warp core designs, he reported with confusion in his voice. But the efficiency ratings are impossible. They are showing performance levels that exceed our theoretical maximums. Dr. Shin Haiwan had been analyzing the programmable metal components they had created during their desperate construction project. The material had bonded with human technology in ways that Veltari scientists had never documented. It was as if the alien metal had been waiting for human minds to unlock its true potential. The hybrid components are performing at 150% of theoretical capacity, she reported. Human bioelectric fields appeared to enhance the quantum properties of Veltari materials. We have not just copied their technology, we have evolved it. Master Sergeant Lim Jae-won was coordinating final security preparations. If their escape attempt failed, he was ready to destroy sensitive information and equipment rather than let it fall into alien hands. But he was confident that his fellow humans had achieved something remarkable. All security protocols are in place, he announced. But I do not think we will need them. This crew has accomplished the impossible before. Today will be no different. Admiral Baek Jung-soo was in his office at Earth Defense Command when the priority transmission arrived. It was from the Soul's Pride, but the ship was supposed to be on a research mission weeks away from Earth. The message was impossible, but the quantum signature was authentic. Earth Defense Command, this is Captain Lee Dong-woo of the Soul's Pride, the message began. We are transmitting from the Kepler 442 system. We have discovered that our research mission was a Veltari trap designed to make humanity dependent on Council technology. We have reverse-engineered their warp systems and are preparing to return home immediately. The message continued with technical data that made Admiral Baek call his best scientists to verify what he was reading. The Soul's Pride had apparently built a propulsion system that could travel faster than any known technology in the galaxy. Back in the Kepler 442 system, Captain Dong-woo was ready to make the jump that would change galactic history forever. He looked at his crew one final time, seeing the determination and courage that had brought them to this moment. Engage the warp drive, he ordered. The Soul's Pride vanished from normal space in a flash of light that was visible across the entire star system. The Veltari ships were left staring at empty space where their prisoners had been only seconds before. High Counselor Nexathara could not believe what her sensors were telling her. Where did they go? She demanded. Her tactical officer was studying readings that defied everything he knew about physics. High Counselor, they achieved warp speeds that are impossible according to all known science. They are traveling faster than our fastest ships by a factor of 5. In the strange dimension of warp space, the Soul's Pride was racing toward Earth at speeds that had never been achieved before. The hybrid drive system was working perfectly,